I think it's ironic, don't you, that the Leftwaffe, the lefties, the woke lot, start this misinformation nonsense to point out what they think are lies when in fact they are uncomfortable truths, when in fact they are the biggest peddlers of lies on social media. Even the BBC has its own misinformation department, now infamous because the head of that department has been outed as a liar. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, you really can't. It's just, you have to laugh. And this is yet another reason to ditch your BBC television licence, because it is now peddling lies towards our children, and they're doing this through their children's programming. Now, there's a programme out there called Horrible Histories, and Horrible Histories is a television version of a series of books written by a guy who, when I listened to his interview on LBC Radio a few years ago, he projected himself to me as a typical anti-British socialist scouser. Of course he's a socialist. He's wealthy, isn't he? I mean, I still don't get this bizarre idea pushed by well-off lefties that civilization has to be a socialist way of life now, where it's really hard and people suffer from lack of everything, except for the top tier of society like them, who never have to queue for bread anymore. Anyway, I digress. So this BBC Horrible Histories programme, they put out a song the other day, and the whole thing is a complete lie. It is effectively misinformation. And the concept of this lie is they have a black actor singing and dancing to this song called Been Here From The Start, which is about black people always being in Britain. And this is effectively the BBC rewriting history by teaching children that the original Britons were black. And here's some of the stuff they completely lie about. For example, the song says that Septimus Severus was black. That is false. It says that the Aurelian Moors were black. That's also false. It says that Western hunter-gatherers, the original people of Britain, were black. That's also a big massive fib. Now, this propaganda song goes two ways. It is completely insulting to white kids as it is to black kids. There is no need to lie. After all, the premise of Horrible Histories is to give the warts and all depiction of history. So why refrain from telling black kids the horrible truth? And why do you think the BBC is doing this? Well, I'll tell you why. It's all part of the weakening of British society. And again, for the millionth time, I'm going to refer you all to a guy called Yuri Bezmenov, a Soviet defector many years ago. Please go and watch his videos on YouTube, and he'll tell you exactly what's going on and why. And as for the BBC peddling this shite, well, look no further than Stephen Moffat. Now, Stephen Moffat is I think he was either director or screenwriter, who resurrected Doctor Who. And he said that the goal of the BBC programming is that they kind of got to tell a lie to promote black people in places where they historically wouldn't have been. And he said, I quote, "We've kind of got to tell a lie. We'll go back into history and there will be black people where historically there wouldn't have been. And we won't dwell on that. We'll say, to hell with it. This is the imaginary better version of the world. By believing in it, we'll summon it forth." End quote. And it's that last bit there that concerns me, because it's reminiscent of a quote. I think it was Lenin. I'm not too sure, but it was definitely a lefty who once said, "A lie told often enough will eventually become the truth." End quote. I think it was Lenin. Correct me in the comments. Now, this song also goes on to tell about Cheddarman. And Cheddarman raised a few controversies a few years ago when some scientists determined that bones belonging to an early Briton were of that of a black person. But this was debunked back in 2018. Even the New Scientist magazine back then went along with this debunking and constantly disproving this nonsense. It's very tiresome, because even though this song by the BBC is a lie, simply pointing out it's a lie will get me called as racist. So this is where we are now in the world, and we must keep doing it. And there we go, that's my video. I hope you like. Please let me know what you think in the comments as ever, and until the next time, have a great day, and Roger Trout.